Mecole Hardman, wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs, is the next player I will be covering in this buy or sell series, where I evaluate not only a player's talent on the field and what they've shown, but also if there's room for improvement in their game or if the price is too high and they will regress this coming year. To say that Mecole Hardman was a mere topic of discussion in the fantasy community last season was an understatement. He was all people were talking about. The next Tyreek Hill, they screamed from the heavens as Hill was dealing with his child abuse allegations, which he was eventually cleared of. As the masses swarmed to get Hardman in the first round of their rookie drafts, some analysts viewed this as a drastic overpay for a player who would normally have gone in the third or fourth round, but instead vaulted up rankings because of potential opportunity. Coming out of Georgia, Hardman excelled getting vertical, outrunning opponents, and using his deceptive quickness to make plays in the open field and on special teams. As a converted cornerback, Mecole had limited experience, which explains some of his route running limitations. Yet he excelled so much at what he did, the Chiefs traded up in the second round to secure another weapon for Patrick Mahomes. As a rookie, Hardman had 26 receptions, 538 yards, and 6 touchdowns on 41 targets. He was used sparingly as he was acclimated to the NFL, but with the injury to Tyreek Hill in Week 1, we got to see just what Mecole Hardman could do if he developed his skill set further. He was wide receiver 45 and DLF startup ADP for June, and for a player with that talent and questionable opportunity, this sounds about right. But if he can see more opportunity, all of a sudden that game-breaking speed turns into fantasy points in your starting lineup rather than on your bench. Let's explore the possibilities with Hardman as we dive into another episode of Buys and Sells. Now, as I mentioned before, Mecole Hardman's greatest ability is his deep speed, his ability to get vertical on defenses. And on this play here against the Oakland Raiders, you're going to really see what Hardman can do and just terrorize defenses with his 4.33 speed. Out of the slot here, he just runs right down the middle of the field over the safety. He knows Pat Mahomes can get him the ball no matter where he is on the field. And Mecole Hardman used that deep speed to his advantage on every single play. Now, one more time at full speed, you really see Sammy break in. The safety comes down the field, and Mecole just goes right over the top for an easy touchdown. And that's one thing that he really excels at. Pat Mahomes looks for that, and it's a really integral part of this offense. Now, this play here is basically the exact same concept. You see the way the players are lined up, except Sammy is the one in the middle of kind of that trio formation, but he's going to actually motion back into the slot. And so what you're going to see is Mecole run the exact same route, except kind of breaking it over the safety. He just goes straight, and you're going to focus on number 29 on the right safety, Earl Thomas, because what's going to happen is he's going to see Sammy motion in. He's going to look at Sammy. He's going to come in, take Sammy. The problem is once Sammy gets taken by Earl Thomas, the safety doesn't rotate over and Mecole's left wide open. We don't know if they're running more of a cover 1 or a cover 2, but once Earl Thomas comes down to take Sammy out, there needs to be a rotation of the safety to cover that back end, and that never happened, leaving Mecole wide open for a touchdown. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you when I say that I didn't really think much of Mecole as a wide receiver. I knew that he was fast. I knew he was a great punt returner. I knew that he was fairly elusive, especially on those punt returns. But beyond that, I didn't see a whole lot of his game that could really translate to the NFL and he could find a lot of success. When you look at this play, you can really see where even though he's fast, his route running is still very limited. I know he's a new receiver, but watch him run this play out of the slot. He gives a little fake on the shoulder and just runs right past this guy. Like, this safety was just caught flat-footed, wasn't aware of what Mecole's speed really was. And I find it funny that that's all it takes, but whether it's a positive or a negative for Mecole. Now, I'm not a professional commentator, so I'm not going to be able to describe exactly what Mecole Hardman does on this play, but basically he catches a screen pass, he almost drops it, comes all the way across the field, and the next thing you know, he's getting a first down basically just because he's so fast. This is just one of those things where receivers who come out of college, a lot of analysts can really focus on punt return yards, punt return yardage. And I believe Mecole Hardman averaged somewhere in the realm of 21 yards per return. And this is the type of stuff that it shows on. This is where coordinators and head coaches can get really creative with their players and put them in interesting situations, get the ball in their hands, and then see what they can do with it. And you see this a lot in the NFL now. There's a lot of playmakers, fast players, elusive players who you just want to get them the ball in space and then just get out the way because they're going to make something happen. And Mecole Hardman is truly one of those players. He's a great punt returner. He's a great player in the open field. And even for a guy who's really small, he is difficult to bring down. And you saw that a lot in college. The issue wasn't whether or not he can do something with the ball in his hands. It's more so how is he going to perform as a wide receiver, catching the ball, running routes, and all those things. But his yak ability is one of his best traits by far. Now, of course, there can't be all good. There has to be kind of the good and the bad. And this is one of the bad sides about a smaller, speedy receiver is that even though on the last play you saw he was able to kind of cut across the field and get open and find space essentially. When he doesn't have space and he's contacted by a bigger defender, he's going to go down almost every time. And so on plays like this where the Raiders just sniffed out this screenplay, he basically went down right away, and you do see that a lot. It's not a Mecole Hardman issue, but if he was able to get a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, he may break some more of these tackles. I don't like to be negative, so let's watch this play one more time where he kind of catches this screen pass, barely, and then makes, 3, 4, 5, probably count 6 Ravens miss on the way to this first down. But that's really the thing with players that are this dynamic in the NFL, is that there is a little bit of a boom-bust factor here. He's going to be able to make plays. He may go down easily, but there are plays like this where he's going to make literally 6 guys miss, cut across the field, and honestly, he's virtually untouched other than the very first guy that was there, who was his man. Everyone else didn't touch him at all. He ran right around them all the way to a first down. This is another play that he ran against the Raiders where he's at the top of the screen in this kind of tight formation, and he's going to basically run a corner route in between the linebacker and the safety. You're going to see him go over top of this linebacker and cut below the safety, and Pat Mahomes just misses him on this route. So he's at the top of the screen there. He gets pressed a little bit, and then he runs right past him, runs to the corner, and Pat just barely overthrows him. But I think this is an area of growth for Hardman that the Chiefs can start to use him as he develops into that wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2 for them to really grow as a receiver and make more plays, because it's a very simple route concept, and it's a route where he's always going to be open. There's almost no way any cornerback or safety or linebacker is going to cover him on a route like that, because he's starting in the slot, he's running an outbreaking route. It's just a route that's very difficult to cover unless you're as fast as he is. Now this is a route against Detroit. He's at the top side of the screen, but in the slot, and he's going to run basically just a crossing route, a route that you're seeing a lot more in the NFL these days, and a route that Hardman can really find a lot of success on. And I think this is one of the areas that he's really going to excel. This play, of course, he doesn't make it, unfortunately, but he's wide open, and if Pat was actually trying to look and see where he was, he would have actually got him. You're going to see on this back camera view, Pat is going to see him come across the field, but he's actually not going to look. He's going to throw kind of a no-look and just chuck the ball to a spot. If Pat would have set his feet, then Mecole probably would have made that play. So previously I was showing you guys some of the stuff where it didn't quite work out for Hardman, but now we're going to get into the stuff where it did work out, and not just worked out, but he actually excelled running not just a route, but also coming back to the ball, doing extra things that really, really talented receivers will do on a regular basis. For Hardman, it's a little few and far between, but you're going to see out of the slot here, he's going to run an excellent route across the field, and then he's going to actually come back to his quarterback and get open. He's going to do a little side shove, a little bit of a double catch there, but regardless, he moved his DB out of the way, he got open for his quarterback, and he made a play. And that's what you want to see out of your receivers. You don't want to just see them do small little things here or there. You want to see them make plays, and that's Mecole Hardman making a play. And it's not just that he's going back to the ball, but he's telling this defender, you know what, I'm better than you. I'm going to take you right out of my way. I'm going to push you out of the way, and I'm going to get open for my quarterback and make a play. I mean, as we see there, it took him a little too long to catch the ball. Those hands aren't as reliable as we'd like, but made a play regardless. Now this play here, you're going to see Hardman top of the screen against the Colts, and you're going to see him basically run an outside release go route down the sideline, and you're going to really, what you want to pay attention to is just how little space there is between the sideline and the defender. Pat Mahomes really puts this ball right in the spot, but Hardman also does a really good job fighting through the defender to make the play. I wanted to show this again from the back camera so you can really see how tight this window was, but Hardman was on the sideline and fought through that contact and used his hands to make the play. Just great concentration at the catch point from Hardman. And now this is another play that I saw watching this Colts game that I wanted to highlight. We've seen Hardman go deep, we've seen him run crossing routes, but we haven't really seen him do is kind of attack the middle of the field other than the previous play. So you're going to see him run from the bottom of the screen, he's going to run a go route, but nope, he's not running a go route, he's going to sit in the zone like he's supposed to do. That's what good receivers do. When they find a soft spot in the zone, they're supposed to sit in that spot and be open for their quarterback, and that's exactly what Mecole Hardman did, and he made a really good play to make that decision rather than continuing his go route up the field when there's tons of green grass behind him. Now, obviously, being such a talented playmaker, Mecole Hardman does have another skill that is being utilized in this Chiefs offense, and that's his ability to run the football. Obviously, we've seen the Chiefs do this with Tyreek Hill, and Mecole Hardman is of that similar mold, where you can take a guy and he can take a reverse, he can take a screen, he can take even a handoff and take it all the way to the house. On this play, he kind of comes across the formation. He actually has Sammy Watkins and Travis Kelce on the other end. As he comes around, they're the lead blockers on this play, and they basically push those guys 10, 15 yards up the field and make it really easy for Hardman to find the edge. Now from the back camera, you can see Kelsey and Watkins there on the right side, and they're the ones to lead block for him as he goes up the field and takes that quick handoff for a first down. Now, as I said, it's not all positive, and one of the things that really is rough for Hardman is when he gets pressed at the line of scrimmage. On this play here, you can see he's pressed for 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 seconds until he finally got free. Same kind of story here. He's pressed there in the middle of the slot between the two receivers, comes up, pressed, held a little bit, but he's not able to break away, and that comes with not having the best feet and not having the best release coming out. Now, on this play here, you see he just slips and falls. It just has to deal with he's not the most refined route runner yet, and that's perfectly okay, but it's definitely an area we're going to want to see him work on through this offseason to improve into his sophomore year. Now on this last play here, you've kind of seen it throughout a few different clips, but he doesn't have the most reliable hands play to play. This is a very simple play, a play that they can do with Hardman a lot. It has to be a quick screen. Yes, it wasn't the best throw, but it's one that Hardman needs to catch. And on this play here, he's working out of the slot, and what you want to see is he's running kind of like a corner route, and Pat Mahomes actually throws a really good ball in this play, but Hardman isn't able to make the adjustment necessary to make the catch, and that's something that he's going to need to work on as well, is just adjusting his body to make more difficult catches in tight coverage. Now, as far as breaking down his film, obviously we've seen the things he does very well. He's a very good player with the ball in space. He's obviously really good at using his speed to benefit him, and the Chiefs as well are using his speed to maximize his talent. One thing obviously we saw is he doesn't have the best release, which I think will be a big thing for Hardman. If he's able to improve his release, it could really help him avoid that press coverage and then force teams to really respect his speed and back off. In that one clip we saw against the Colts where he just completely broke off his route, it was really easy for him to make that play because they had to respect his speed and they backed off consistently. Now, contrary, if you can press him, you can completely negate that and it'll take him longer to get down the field, and the chance of him getting the ball is much slimmer. Overall, I do think that Hardman had some pretty good tape. Obviously, his speed is his greatest asset and needs to continue to use that in the NFL. And the Chiefs as well are doing a really good job of making sure that they maximize his talents there. He runs a lot of crossing routes. He doesn't run a lot of technical routes. He's never going to be a very technical runner, but what he does do well, they're going to continue to use him in that fashion. The question is how does that translate to fantasy points for our teams? And do we value him the way he should be valued and how the Chiefs value him? Because for him, as we've noticed, there will be an issue of volume. It's very rare you're going to see a player like Mecole Hardman see, 100 targets or 120 targets. It'll be more the 80, 90 target range on the high end as the kind of the second guy to Tyreek Hill. But obviously with Travis Kelce still being there, is there enough targets to go around for Hardman? And is he going to be a bit of a boom or bust play in the NFL going forward? Even though his first season he was very successful, we still need him to improve on that if we're going to be buying at these prices that he's going for in ADP. Now you guys know I love to kind of play this ADP game and see where guys are ranked and kind of make a decision based on whether or not they're buys or sells based on that. And so we see here Mecole Hardman is rated at 45 overall in DLF's June ADP. Now, you look at the guys around him, Denzel Mims, AJ Green, T.Y. Hilton, N'Keal Harry, Brandon Cooks, Darius Slayton. This is probably where I feel is correctly valued. His tier is right around here, although the one guy who obviously is extremely overvalued is Henry Ruggs. I would drop Henry Ruggs probably, right below Jamison Crowder, maybe even just above Jamison Crowder, because there is almost no way I would take Henry Ruggs over Michael Pittman, T. Higgins, Deontay Johnson, Darius Slayton, Brandon Cooks maybe even, but probably not. I'd drop Brandon Cooks down too. N'Keal Harry, T.Y. Hilton could go down a few spots, obviously Mims. AJ Green, I would definitely probably take Ruggs over him because I honestly don't believe in Ruggs that much. But back to Mecole Hardman. When you look at Mims here, I think there's a case to be made for taking Mims over Hardman, but it kind of all comes back to is Hardman is only in his third year playing wide receiver. And there's a lot of growth he's going to see year over year. And he's playing on the best offense in the NFL that just got better by adding a first-round running back talent. Now that's going to open up things in the flats, going to open up things in crossing routes, and they still have Tyreek Hill on the outside, still have Travis Kelce there. There's a lot of guys there, but there's going to be a lot of volume, and it's not just good volume, it's high-octane volume, it's deep routes, it's crossers, it's chunk plays, it's reverses. There's a lot of things to like here from Hardman that I think is going to translate really well. Now, if we're talking buy or sell, I think that for now, at the time being, I'd be buying Mecole Hardman because I'm expecting his volume to go up in 2020. He's still growing as a receiver. He's still growing into his role in the NFL. And if he becomes that wide receiver 2 for the Chiefs, he could be seeing upwards of 70, 80 targets in the NFL. And that's all it's going to take to get to 700, 800 yards and produce wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 numbers, depending on how his touchdowns go. Do I expect him to average 20 yards a reception again? No, I don't, but I could definitely see a world where he lives in that 17, 18 yards per reception range on top of getting reverses, on top of punt return yards and touchdowns. There's a lot of room for Hardman to grow into this offense just beyond his receiving acumen, and he can still do a lot in the screen game as well. So they will manufacture touches for him, and they will continue to do so, and Hardman will be heavily involved in this offense going forward as he grows his role in his second year in the NFL, and that's why I'm buying Mecole Hardman. Now, I know what you guys are wondering. How can I get Jordan to break down my favorite wide receiver in the NFL? Well, what you have to do is you have to subscribe to the Destination Defi Patreon, and maybe, just maybe, I'll pick your wide receiver. Patreon.com/allgas. Join the squad. Join the community. We have tons of fun over there. Trust me, there's more breakdowns coming, but if you want me to break down your favorite wide receiver, you're going to have to join the squad. Thanks, guys, for checking this video out. Give it a like, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Love you guys. Thanks for checking this out. Peace.
Team Mac Production.